Street Talk! Yeah!
Welcome to Street Talk. I am your host, Jason, and this is for Friday, October the 17th. Here comes the weekend. Here comes a little Friday night football. Let's get it started. Boise State Broncos hosting the Fresno State Bulldogs. Now, I'm going to go with the first quarter prop because I think this prop's pretty interesting. It's pretty unique. I can't really remember a prop like this on Streak before. If any of you guys do remember it, anything like this or similar or exactly like it, whatever, feel free to leave it in the comments because I'd really be interested. Which will occur first in the first quarter? First quarter only now. Boise State running back Ajayi. Ajayi! Every time I hear his name, I want to chop something. Ajayi! Okay, I got that out of my system. All right. Which will occur first? Ajayi rushes for 25 or more yards versus Fresno State scoring or neither occurring. Now, it's pretty interesting, but it's a little bit difficult to handicap because we're talking about how much Ajayi will rush for, not even in the whole first quarter, which will occur first. So it's pretty difficult to handicap as far as odds go. One thing we'll look at is, as far as just scoring, there are odds on that. Who will score first? And Boise State is at a 63% favorite after I remove the VIG. Now, bear in mind, that doesn't tell us the winner of the prop, but it does say, well, Fresno State is only a 37% favorite to score first. So that's leaning toward Ajayi. We got a lot more work to do. Now, overall, Fresno is 106th in the nation, allowing 212 yards per game on the ground. So they're very porous against the run. But again, that's over the whole game. Do they wear down in the second half? Are they better in the first half? Are they worse in the first half? So it doesn't really pinpoint us, but it gives us at least a starting point, a little jump-off point. More importantly, Fresno State is allowing 4.4 yards per carry. That will give us a better clue when we break down Ajayi's rushing stats, because we're saying, okay, they're allowing 4.4 yards a carry. How many carries is he going to get in the first quarter? So, last year, this is very interesting to note, though. Fresno played Boise State last year. And again, I just mentioned that they were terrible against the run this year. Last year, they held them to 54 yards on the entire game on 20 carries. So it was only like 2.7 yards a carry. That's much lower than what they are allowing yards per game or yards per carry this year. Now, Ajayi, we do have his first quarter stats. He's rushed 42 times for 210 yards. That's a 5.0 average. Now, if we break that down in their games, they played 6 games, so he averages 7 carries in the first quarter. So that would come out to about, if we just multiplied it by 4.4 yards per carry that Fresno State gives up per rush, that would come out to 30.8. Now, there's one interesting thing. When the prop originally came out, when it was originally marked, Streakmaster had it at 20. So the fact that he changed it sort of out of the blue makes me wonder if he thought 20 was too low. And so then we're getting into the 20 to 25 range. Is that where it's going to fall? Is it going to be right on the number? Is it going to be one less than the number? Streak for the Cash Classic? I don't know. So what I did was I took this year's results, because I don't really want to go back last year. There were different teams, people graduate, newcomers, freshmen, etc. But so it's a relatively small sample size, 7 for Fresno State and 6 for Boise State. But here's what I got. I compared the time that Fresno State scored first, or neither occurred, or they let a ball carrier rush for 25 or more yards. So the ball carrier in the Fresno State games this year would have gone 5-2, meaning Fresno would have only won, out of 7 times, would have only won the prop twice this year. That seems to really lean toward Ajayi. However, then I broke down Ajayi rushing for 25 or more yards before the other team scores, or neither occurs. Ajayi in this prop this year would have gone 1-5. So they both do equally poorly. Now, a word of note. Ajayi has played some pretty good defenses. For instance, first game of the year they played Ole Miss. We know all about the Land Sharks. We know how tough they are in defense. They're barely giving up any yards, much less in the first quarter. So, again, it's tough to handicap. One other thing that's sort of interesting to note. Out of their 7 games this year, Fresno State has been shut out in the first quarter 5 of those times. One of the times that they scored was a safety. So you can't really bank on safety. So if you just look at offensive numbers in the first quarter, they've been shut out 6 out of their 7 games. That really seems to lean toward Ajayi. This really, I don't think it's the slam dunk that the percentages say it is. Again, it's a little difficult for me to handicap. I was sort of willing to go with Fresno State, but then I see they barely score at all in the first quarter, but then they held Ajayi down last year. Ajayi doing pretty well overall in the first quarter, but some of those numbers are a little bit inflated when they've played inferior teams. When they've played a little bit better teams, they've come down. But we've already established sort of that Fresno State is a porous run defense. I'm going to say Ajayi for the green, but this is one that you should ignore the percentages on. Because, yes, one long run, and you got the prop. Ajayi has the prop. But a drive down the field and Fresno State kicks a field goal before Boise State even touches the ball, prop over. So high streaks, even maybe medium streaks, stay away from this prop. Monthly players, lean toward Ajayi, but it's not that far-fetched for Fresno to win. If you want to take a roll of dice, try and gain one on the leaders, because I'm sure most of the leaders will be on Ajayi. So, long-winded, perhaps, but it was tough to break down. I think we got sort of a good feel for it. We're leaning toward Ajayi, but we're not putting any medium or high streaks on it, all right? I hope you guys enjoy. Ajayi, one more time. All right. Hope you guys enjoy it. We'll see you next time on Streak Talk.